Today we're going to show you a cool design we made for the new Jeep Wrangler. Most of you guys who have the big brawny wheels and tires have a big problem with the road and road grime and dirt and mud being flung all over the rest of the Jeep. We've come up with a design to solve this problem. It's basically a fender extension. There are wider fenders available. They start to get a little funny looking when you know, how far out can you go really? We'll show you how to form it up and how to do the installation. Before we get into that part, there are some preparations you need to make. Change all these attachment points. This fender is riveted onto the body with plastic rivets, and those are very easy to remove. Well, sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. But I'll show you how to do it. Some of the tools that you're gonna need, scratch awl or a pick. These bigger ones will give you the leverage you need to push this pin out. If you look at these rivets, they're basically a plastic rivet, and the stem inside is what you gotta push back out to release the rivet. I'll show you just how to do that. Push this in and just push that out like that. Now once you've done that, it's actually gonna release the rivet, allow you to pull it out. See, it's the center pin, when this is riveted tight, that holds the fender on. So when you're pushing it out, you're releasing it and allowing you to pull this out. We're not going to be reusing this. We're changing this hardware. Now that all the rivets are released, you'll be able to pull the fender away from the body, exposing these little perches. Put a clip nut or speed nut on each one of those locations that we took the rivet out. Let me show you how that's done. Kit's going to come with 6 of these for each fender. You're going to have 6 plated black screws, number 8 screws, and the speed nuts. Now, speed nuts are generally designed to go on sheet metal. So what you're gonna probably need to do is just take the screwdriver and widen them a little bit, just to make it easy for you to put them onto the vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and take these, and see that one's a regular one. Spread it like so. Pretty easy to do. Okay, that'll help out a lot. Put these on. And you're just going to do that right down the line. Now, when you get into the quarter here, you got to be careful not to pull too hard, because what will actually happen is you'll end up yanking the whole fender off the vehicle, which really isn't necessary. You just gotta like kind of open this up a little and expose the little area where the clip nut needs to go, and then slide that on. Now that we've got factory rivets removed and all the clips installed, the next thing is to prep. There are a couple of areas on this kit that needs to be bonded. So you're gonna have to go in there and remove any road grime or dirt that's piled up under the fender, just so that we can get a real nice bond. I'm just gonna take you know, a rag or paper towel, cleaning fluid. You can use alcohol. This is a common prep. And you're just gonna clean underside of the fender. And we get right in the underside of this part, underside of here. It's going to be 2 tabs that are going to fold over and connect to the inside. And this little piece of the rocker. Okay. And then finally, underneath this marker light. What you need to do is to apply a chemical so that this tape will have a nice good bond in there long term. This is what you're going to get in your kit. It's a 3M adhesive promoter. Basically, there's a little yellow sponge in there with some watery fluid. You're going to open the packet, take the sponge out, squeeze the excess fluid, and wipe that down inside those areas we showed you. I've got some of that in this little bottle here. Wipe this in here, 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 and here. Okay, that'll dry in just a couple of seconds. So now the next step is to kind of set the fender extension up for installation. We've designed this so that you can shape this by hand. We've put this these perforations in here, you can actually bend this by hand. It's not going to be difficult at all. You could use pliers and all kinds of weird tools to do that, but the metal is such that it'll allow you to do it manually. This is the underside. We've inserted a stone guard on the most critical area behind the fender. That should really help from getting the unit all dented up and stuff. So we'll go right to the area, and you can see that now we've got to start shaping. Before you do that, these particular areas here, if you'll notice, there's a double stitch in here. That's to compensate for the thickness of the fender. So in order to utilize those the way we planned it, you're going to want to bend these up at a 90 right at that first area like that. This you'll probably do better having a little plier. You just want to bend it up like that, see? And you'll do this at a 90. I'll show you why in a minute. We've designed this fender extension to sit at a little bit of an angle. We didn't want to just come straight out. That'd be too boring. We've set it at a nice pitch, and this shape is designed so that when it's installed, it'll have a nice little beveled pitch to it. In order to set that pitch, you'll need to bend these tabs a little, not very much, about 30 degrees. You don't have to be too accurate at this point, because once you get your screws in, you'll be able to tweak the angle and tweak the whole thing so that it fits real nicely. These are going to be bent up, similar to the angle you have there, and then this gets bent down. It's very easy to bend. You don't really need to have any special tools, plier. If you got nice tough fingers, you can do it. Set all these at 30-degree angle. As you're doing this, you're going to want to just kind of see. We're going to start at this corner screw and follow the shape everywhere else. The way we're going to begin is to kind of like shape the panel. You can see that it's very easily shapeable. Once this is all bolted in, it's actually going to be very stable. We're going to start from this corner. And you'll just finger that in a little bit. Kind of, you don't want to tighten it, just want to get it as a starting point, and you're going to leave it loose at this point. A lot of adjustments we're going to make. Start from the end and work our way around, so you'll see that this will allow you to shape the panel so that you can match the contours. So now that we're getting into our shaping, what we're going to do is just kind of tweak the shapes. So these little tabs that we pushed over by hand a little bit too much, we're just going to set them there a little bit better so that they match the shape of the fender. And you can see, you know, the more you're shaping and forming, how it will end up fitting on the fender. So now that we've got these kind of shaped correctly, we'll go ahead and put these screws in. You just want to do all this stuff initially by hand, and keep everything loose so that we can continue to tweak the shape and get it to fit right, just perfect before we set any. The holes have slots in them, so you can position this in and out. So now that you've got a good idea of how this is shaped and our tabs are all shaped properly and they're properly adjusted to the fender, what we're going to ask you to do is just take out that bottom screw again, just so that we can release this low enough. Do a little extra tweaking and get the release tape from the attachment tape. So we're just going to take this out. Okay, just going to shape it a little bit tighter. Bring this in a little bit tighter. This one was pretty good. A little bit more here. This one's perfect. This is going to be a little bit like that. That's going to fit just like so. So now we're just going to go ahead and remove the attachment tape. Now it's real important that once you've got your fender in position and your tabs are stuck to the fender, that you really go in there and set the bond. You got to press these two things together. The adhesive is a pressure sensitive kind of tape, so it's really important that you go in there and set that bond like that. Now we're going to go ahead and go right on down the line. Now before we peel and stick or set any screws, we're going to go ahead and shape this now. We want to make sure that we've got a nice contour finish here. Just like that. And then this is the final bend, which you're going to kind of tuck the front and then tuck these like that. Okay. And then just check and see how that fits. Make sure it fits real good and that you're lined up with your screw hole. Adjust your tab. Which looks pretty good. Okay, now we'll go ahead and put take our release liner off. This tape can fight back with you a little bit. Before you actually stick anything, set your screws. Okay, now that your screws are set, you can go ahead and set all your tabs. Again, pressing these firmly. You got your adhesive promoter in there. That's going to give you a nice permanent bond. And then these other ones where I told you earlier to bend at 90, they seat right up in here and they're going to hold the center of the fender. So what you're actually going to do is just take those tabs and finish bending them all the way over. You'll see that the stone guard we put here is really going to do a nice job of protecting the extension from road rock and stuff like that. Otherwise you can end up with little dents on the outside. This will work out perfectly, so we're going to go ahead and tighten up the rest of those screws. And you can see that gives you a nice little contour. This will keep these big knobby tires from throwing stuff all over the side of the body, especially in this area here. This will solve that, and that's how you install that.